Breeze Nation, what is good? It's your boy Pat the Designer back at it again. Appreciate y'all for tuning in and showing love to another episode of the Windy City Breeze Sports Talk Daily. I know that this is a little bit earlier than expected on a Wednesday. Normally we go live at 6 on Wednesday, but listen, we got to go out here and mingle among the people. I'm heading to a, dare I say, cover your ears, guys, a White Sox game tonight. Sox take on the Yankees, taking the family, taking a couple of friends. So wanted to make sure, though, that we're still getting the content out to you. Appreciate you guys for tuning in and showing love. Yeah, y'all already know what it is. Shout out to the Breeze Chat who we got in the building. Kevin Marshall in his mug. Jay Grizz with a yurt in his mug. Jacob on a dime yurt, shorty. Is that how you do in Chicago? Is that how you yurt in Chicago right there? Yeah, shorty. Noah P in the building. The Bears 85 in the building, man. Appreciate y'all for tuning in and rocking with your boy. Lot to get into on today's episode. I want to talk about, first off, did Flus give up a secret? We heard Flus drop a little something in a little CBS interview the other day. I don't know if you guys saw this or not, but dropped a little nugget in a CBS interview that some people may, I think, are taking a little bit too far, but it sparked the question in my mind, does going out and adding one of these big name guys turn the Chicago Bears into a Super Bowl contender? And if it doesn't, is it worth it to give up the capital or whatever it is going to cost? Also, some different things about training camp, some things that stood out today. Good day, got some bodies back. Kyler Gordon, Jaquan Brisker was out there, not in pads though. Tyrique and Montez both in pads. Gordon also in pads. Like some good things. Nate Davis also in pads and a full participant. So got to break all that down. All that and more in today's episode of the Windy City Breeze Sports Talk Daily. Hit that like button, subscribe to the page, man. Leave that 5-star review. Y'all know what to do. I need y'all to go ahead and do me a favor real quick. Go ahead and
come on. Push the button. Come on. Push the button. Come on, push the button.
Yeah, come on, push the button.
You heard what she said.
y'all heard what Sue Young said. Push the button, man. Hit that like button, subscribe to the page. Hit that notification bell as well, because it does help you let you guys know. That's my first one, I swear. It does help let you guys know that when we're going live, when we're dropping content, all of that stuff. So appreciate y'all rocking with your boy. Let's start it off here. We heard Flus talk about going out, and he was speaking on Montez Sweat, basically, and people have taken this so incredibly far, because it does sound like he may have dropped a little bit of a nugget on what the Bears are planning to do. When he was on with CBS earlier, he basically said, talking about Montez Sweat, he demands attention. That helps free up the other rushers. That's so important to be able to do that, and to have a guy like that. When you can have two, it's even better, and that's something we're searching to do here coming forward. Now, everybody heard this and lost their ever-loving minds, because wait a minute, does that mean you're going to get a guy? Does that mean that you're trying to add a guy? Is that what you're telling me? And I don't think that that is a surprise. Now, maybe that's just me personally. But when you hear teams have been in contact with the Patriots about Matt Judon, you can assume, if you'd like, that one of those teams is the Chicago Bears. That means they're interested in adding a guy. When you hear that the Bears have been, right, they've still been cordial with Yannick Ngakoue's people, that would be the Bears thinking about adding a guy. That does not mean that they're going to go out and have to do that. But to have a conversation built around, does this mean that they want to go add a guy? Yes, they want to add a guy. But I also think that this has to do with finding a guy. Right? That's the important part. Flus said, when you can have two, it's even better. And that's something we're searching to do here coming forward. That could mean a guy in the building. There's a young man who's put up, I'm giving him his other sack. I don't know if y'all have gone back and watched the Cleveland game. I have watched this play a bunch of times. Austin Booker runs into the quarterback, lands on the quarterback is on the ground. He don't get a sack. That don't make no sense. I'm giving him his sack. A guy that has had 3.5 sacks in his preseason. You're hoping that he can be a guy that you find who can be that opposite guy. A guy like Daniel Hardy is a guy that you hope that you can go out there and find, right? When you're searching, you're trying to find something that you can find that can do better. I think Flus is more focused on what this could be with this team than he is about possibly going out and adding pieces. But it doesn't mean they're not looking. Let's be real, fellas. We all know. Sometimes you want to look. It don't mean you're buying. Sometimes you got to take a look. It don't mean that you're buying. And if you got the right one, she's looking too. You know what I'm saying? But to me, that one statement said nothing. To me, that one statement said nothing about going out and getting a guy. That's one statement said nothing about looking for a guy outside of the organization. It says we're searching to find that guy. That to me means I've got guys here. I just got to figure out which one's the guy that we need to put in the forefront. I think more so it is an acknowledgement of the fact that they don't believe that DeMarcus Walker is that guy. I think they believe that DeMarcus Walker is a guy. I think they believe DeMarcus Walker is a valued member of this team. But when you hear Matt Eberflus say that, tell me that doesn't then tell to you, oh, y'all don't think y'all have the guy opposite edge. Y'all don't think that y'all have the guy across from Montez Sweat. Because you got a guy there. D Walk has been a 7-sack guy. He's been a guy who can be the other guy. You don't think you have the other guy. That's why my ears perked up at. You're still looking to see, and this is a conversation, right, that to me goes into what we heard from Austin Booker today and why I think this opportunity is open to him. Why I think that this opportunity is open to him. So many people have said, do you think that Austin Booker could have a chance at the starting job? I do. I think that this weekend is massive for Austin Booker. And I'm not even really talking about the preseason game because I don't believe that the preseason game is really going to do much for Austin Booker's future here because I don't think the Bengals are going to play. We kind of know what he looks like against 2s and 3s, but what are you going to see against starters? I wonder if we go into this next or tomorrow, I was going to say this next practice, but tomorrow's practice at 1. And versus the ones if we don't get some Austin Booker serious looks out there. If versus the ones we don't get Austin Booker with some serious time on that opposite edge, opposite Montez Sweat, who just came back today in practice. I wonder if we don't get that. Because clearly, based on Flus's statement, they're looking. Clearly, based on Flus's statement, they still need that guy, and they have not found him. That's what I took away from what Matt Eberflus said with CBS the other day. That was the things that, to me, was the most glaring. And so I think, right, when you hear Austin Booker talk with confidence today about, I feel like I have every tool in my bag. I feel like there's nothing I can't do. I'm confident. Like, that confidence is great. Nurture that, show that. And don't worry about, I know people are out there and they're like, well, he's a little small. He's a little skinny. He's a little undersized. He's not able to do this. He's not able to make this play. He's not going to be able to stop the run. You don't know until you throw him out there. And realistically speaking, how many people have we seen that have been told he's too small or he's too undersized or he's not tall enough or he's too tall or to do this specific job? I think Austin Booker has been gifted with something special, and that is the fact that he has always been the guy who's behind the guy. Now, the belief was that going into next season, he was going to be the guy. The belief is that going into next season, he was going to be the guy. He was going to be a top late first round pick, early second round pick. Can you develop that into him a little bit earlier? Is that potential in there? Are you willing to start him off at that position right now? But I don't know if by Flus saying that, whether, if what he was saying was we're looking outside of the building to try and find the guy. I believe what Flus was saying was we're looking for that guy in here, and if anybody wants this job, let's go get it. Y'all let me know your thoughts on that in the comments below. Hit that like button, subscribe to the page, leave a 5-star review. Y'all know what to do. Appreciate y'all for tuning in and showing love as you always do. I don't know if we did this or not. Did we do this? I don't think we did this, and we are a good chunk of the way through here. Over 100 in the chat. 100. Let's keep this thing moving along, though. Got a lot to get to on a shorter show because I got to get the heck up out of here and go watch the White Sox. Ugh, yeah, that's not great. Let's get to the topic at hand, though. The title topic here that most people probably pulled up to hear about. And here's my question off of this, right? The conversation around Flus and people saying, that he's talking about going outside of the organization to add to this team, that he's talking about going outside of the organization to build on this team. Does going outside of the organization right now make the Chicago Bears a Super Bowl contender? Does adding Matt Judon, and by Super Bowl contender, I mean one of the final 4 teams. Does adding Matt Judon or Haason Reddick make the Chicago Bears a Super Bowl level team? Does it make them one of the top 4 teams in the NFL? And if it doesn't, because I think most people in the chat right now would say it doesn't. If it doesn't, is it worth it to spend that capital on that player? Is it worth it to trade for that player and then have to pay that player? And I think that's where a lot of, for me, I'd be fine with going out and getting a guy like Haason Reddick, because Haason Reddick, 29 years old, he's going to be 30 by the start of the season. You probably got 3 more years out of Reddick. Matt Judon, to me, a little bit older, a little bit shorter contract. I believe he's 31 years old. If you go out there, does that make you an instant top 4 team in the NFL? I don't know if it does. Because, listen, I think it makes your defense absolutely one of the best defenses in the league, but there is still that part where your offense has to catch up. So you have to kind of look at, okay, does this have long-term benefits for your team? I think Reddick does. I think Reddick gives you 3 to 4 years of really solid play if you want to sign him to be that level of player. I think that he's still got that left in the tank. Not to say that Judon doesn't, not to say Judon can't do that, but I think that with Judon, you go in, right, 31 years old, you go in saying, well, this is probably a 2 to 3 year deal. Is this worth trading the draft capital now? Versus, right, you also have to think about this on the flip side for Ryan Poles. Is it worth trading the capital on a guy that you feel you can go out and draft? Because this edge rusher class is supposed to be ridiculously good coming out of this draft. Could you see the Chicago Bears going out and doing that? And this is a preseason scenario, right? Because if you get into the season, you would assume that Reddick's got a contract done. You would assume that Judon, while maybe not happy, has worked something out. And maybe it works in your favor one way or the other, where they've got a contract worked out and it's maybe better to trade for him then or not. But right now, while I would love to have either one of these guys on the team, and we talked about this yesterday, I do feel like there is something to be said about the team that you currently have. How much more do these guys add to that? Do they add defensive line pressure? Yeah. 100%. But with the pressure you had last season, and hopefully a stepped up season from Javon Dexter, hopefully some improvement from DeMarcus Walker by having a season of Montez Sweat on the opposite side, you're able to get that similar level of pressure and still force those takeaways. I know a lot of people are looking at that Bills game and saying, we didn't get a ton of pressure. What the heck was going on in there? Montez Sweat was not there. That makes a big difference in your production. That makes a big difference in what you're able to go out there and get done. With Montez Sweat out there, who I have said on multiple occasions is the best player at camp right now when he's healthy. Is the best player at camp right now when he's healthy. To me, having him not on the field changes your team drastically. Now, you can still get some good things done defensively, right? We saw some pressure from the linebacking core. We saw Tremaine Edmonds be in the face of Josh Allen a couple of times. I think there's still ways that you can dial it up. And I think that the conversation also on that side is not a bad conversation to bring up for why you should get those guys, right? Well, what if Montez goes down? You've got a guy like Haason Reddick who can still get back there. You've got a guy like Matthew Judon who can still get back there. But is it worth it to give up the capital? Is it worth it to invest the money in a right now scenario? And for me, you have to believe that you're one of those top 4 teams in the NFL for you to give that up. If you believe that adding Haason Reddick or adding Matthew Judon allows you to be a Super Bowl contending team, one of those top 4 teams, then you absolutely pull that trigger. But I don't know if adding Matt Judon or Haason Reddick puts you over the San Francisco 49ers. I don't know if that puts you over the Detroit Lions right now. I think anything could put you over the Dallas Cowboys because who knows what the heck is going on down there. And for me, that question is enough for me to go, you got to take a long think at that. Now, it depends on what you're giving up as well. Like I said, if you're giving up late 3rd round draft capital for one of those guys, or you're giving up 3rd and maybe a future 5th or something I'd be fine with that. And if a deal got done, I would not be upset by it. I think that it makes this Bears defense that much more stout. I think that it makes this Bears defense have that many more teeth. You're not in a bad position at all if you go out and get one of these guys. But you know that it's more limiting moving forward. You know that it's more limiting financially moving forward. You know that that would be adding one of these guys to me would be Ryan Pohl's first decision that felt like it's all or nothing. It would be his first decision for me that felt like we can win. We feel like we can be in the Super Bowl this season. It's all or nothing. Let's go after it. And that just doesn't fit Ryan Pohl's MO to me. It just doesn't. I'm also not sitting here telling you that I have the answer on this. This is just, to me, the standard that you have to be looking to live by if you are the Chicago Bears looking to go out there and add either Matthew Judon or add Haason Reddick. You don't add these guys to just be a solid team. You don't add these guys to just be a team that's trying to get into the playoffs. You add these guys if you feel we have everything we need. And this is the cherry on top to help us get to the Super Bowl or to help us compete for a Super Bowl. Are the Bears at that point yet? That's the big question. That's the big question on this. I see people in the chat right now. Baki says it makes you top 5 in the NFC. Is that good enough? Is that good enough? Top 5 where? 5? While I'd love it, 5? Or we talk, right? Like you got to feel like you're in those top 3, right? If you make a move like that. If you go big or go home. Club Bears Dub on the Twitter side said Judon's coming off an injury. Two, in his missed camp, we saw how Yannick came in late and didn't help his cause. Yeah, but Yannick was coming in trying to be the guy. Judon's coming in here being the other guy, who's still a really good guy. Who's still a really good guy to have. But you know what I mean? It's not the same situation as with Unique last year. If we get Judon, we're neck and neck with the 49ers, loaded on both sides of the football, even without a mainstay edge. We're right there already, in my opinion. I don't know. I think it doesn't hurt your cause by any means, but it's also about putting these pieces together and making sure that they all work well together. That is the one thing that I can say when you're up at training camp right now, you can see from this Bears team. These guys work well together. They know how to play off of each other. And there's certain things that time are going to build up. But you can't, it's not Madden. You can't just say, I got Matthew Judon and now it's over. I think it helps. I think there would be some good situations there, but it's also, okay, if we're at the midseason, is there a piece that could be added that you can't go all in for now that you maybe wanted to go all in for? Like, I think that's the tough part about GMing. That's the tough part about Ryan Poles' job. He's got to make the now decision that doesn't affect you 5 years down the line. He's done a great job at that. Can you do that with a Haason Reddick? Can you do that with a Matthew Judon? That's the question. That's the question that I'm posing right now. Lamont Liggins said, if our O-line sucks, none of this matters. That depends on how Shane Waldron calls this. Because I think that Sunday was a glimpse into what you do when your O-line is struggling. You get your quarterback out in space. You move him around. You move the pocket. You don't have him stand back there like a sitting duck. Dare I say, we've been saying this for 4 years now? At least through Justin and Mitch. And this is the first guy we've seen do it. Now, again, in a preseason game, it matters more when you're in game. But I think that you could add to the team defensively. Here's the thing. And this is something that, and I'm gonna put his comment back up. Shout out Lamont. Appreciate you tuning in and showing love. Hit that like button, subscribe to the page. This is the part of this for me that makes no sense at this point. If our offensive line sucks, none of this matters. Who's fixing it right now? Who are you adding that fixes your offensive line? Who are you adding that makes your line better? Who are you adding that puts that turns your line from the line that we believe it is right now to a better line? Because it seems like the belief around Bears fans is, well, as long as the offensive line sucks, why are you adding to the team? And that is not a way to think about it. By the way, over 200 in a chat. 200. That's not a way to think about it for me. Well, our offensive line is bad, so why would we want to add players? Because you still want your team to plug as many holes as it can. Because you still want your team to be able to go out there and fill as many cracks that are in this foundation as you can. That's like saying, well, the boat's sinking, but we got that small hole over there, but what we got this small hole over here. Why are we plugging either of the holes? We got to fix that hole before we fix that hole. Plug a hole. It doesn't make sense to me to say, well, the offensive line is struggling, so why would we add to the defensive line at all? There's no point in adding another pass rusher opposite Montez Sweat. There's no point in getting consistent pressure on the opposing quarterback. Why would we do that? Because there's no player out there that I think you guys are looking to, that I think anybody sees right now that you're like, that's the guy. Well, I get it if there's an O-lineman out there. Guess what? When Connor Williams was available, I was all in on going to get Connor Williams over the defense. When Connor Williams was available, I was fine with going to get Connor Williams over going to get an opposite pass rusher. Protect Caleb Williams at all costs. But that's not the case anymore. So who's the offensive lineman that we're going to go out and get that we got to say, I don't know about this guy on defense. Maybe we just leave him out there. And again, I'm not saying go get Matt Judon. I'm not saying go get Haason Reddick. What I'm saying is, if you feel that your team can have Super Bowl aspirations by adding one of these pieces, to then go, but the offensive line ain't done. What are we adding this guy for? Makes no sense. But again, I want to know how you guys feel, man. Let me know in the comments below. Do you feel like adding one of these guys gives you those Super Bowl aspirations? And if not, is it worth it to add one of these guys? Appreciate you guys for tuning in and showing love. As always, hit that like button, subscribe to the page, man. Leave that 5-star review. Y'all know what to do. 127 in the building, 45 likes on the video. Hit that retweet button if you're over on the Twitter side as well. 89 people on the Twitter side. Let's get 89 retweets on this video, man. That'd be lit if we was able to get as many retweets as we have people in here right now. That would be absolutely fire. Let's keep this show moving along, man. Like I said, let me know you guys feeling in the comments below. Some training camp updates before I end up getting up out of here. One interesting one, I mean the main interesting ones, Kyler Gordon, Tyrique Stevenson, and Montez Sweat all back in pads today. Brisker was out there, but he was not in pads. And here's my thing. This is why this is massive for this week. This is why, again, I have praised Matt Eberflus for a good chunk of his training camp decisions. I have praised Matt Eberflus for how he has run his training camp. You think about a guy like Kyler Gordon, who went out due to injury during training that has kept him out just about all of training camp. You think about a guy like Montez Sweat, who has been in there for a good chunk of camp, but just about what was it, right before that first preseason game, end up going out and missing some time. You think about a guy like Tyrique Stevenson, who has been out for an extended period of time as well. Getting all three of those guys ramping up this week, getting all three of those guys back in pads and playing this week is exciting to me, because it tells me that Matt Eberflus is putting a value on this joint practice. It tells me that Matt Eberflus is putting a value on playing against a team that is not your team, that maybe has a little bit of a higher value, because remember, I think it was the joint practice last year, right? There was a bunch of guys missing from joint practice last season, and then they didn't play them in the game. And then literally they were like, nah, we just not going to play our starters in this game, which is a whole different conversation. I think that the Bears should play in this Bengals game, but we talked about that a little bit on the Morning Breeze this morning as well. But I like that Matt Eberflus is putting a value on practice. I like that Matt Eberflus is putting a value on what is sure to be a amped up practice. And I like the fact that he's saying, hey, we need you guys back this week. We hear Nate Davis. I mean, and clearly he got the message. He got the, I don't believe that you can lose your starting job just based on the fact that you're hurt message loud and clear, because not only is he back out there yesterday, but he's back out there today, fully in pads, full participant on the offensive line, looking exactly how Nate Davis does right before this joint practice. I like the fact that Flus is communicating to these guys the value of what this is. And to me, I think that this is why you're seeing a growth in this team in that Buffalo game, right? Why you're seeing a growth from this team in the preseason games as a whole. Why you're seeing consistency from this team when the game comes on. I think that Caleb Williams plays into that as well. I think that there's a lot of good things that Caleb Williams has done at practice. My favorite throw from him today was one that he didn't even complete, because it was him extending the play. It was him trying to find a guy. He threw it with confidence. He threw it with accuracy. It was at the end of the 11-on-11 and 2-minute drills, and he just gave his guy a chance, threw it in there. Now, the guy was Dante Pettis, so the pass ends up getting dropped. But, I mean, it was right in the breadbasket. It was a dart that hit him in the chest, and he just wasn't able to bring it in. But, and again, this question was asked in the chat, and I keep bringing it up because I think seeing these moments accentuates that kind of conversation. And that is when you look at this offense in practice today, very up and down day. They made some plays. They didn't make some plays. The defense made some plays. The defense didn't make some plays. When we're talking iron sharpens iron, you are literally getting iron sharpens iron. And because of that, when we saw this team go out against the Buffalo Bills, they look like world beaters. No, Ed Oliver also has that. Yeah, I mean, that also helps with your offensive line. But it looked like, and I asked Braxton Jones about this in a press conference yesterday, it looked like this was an offense that had some continuity, that had some stability. And I'll ask you this question before we get up out of here. When you left that Bills game, what did you feel better about? Did you feel better leaving that game about the offensive line, or did you feel better leaving that game about the defensive line? Because for me, the confidence that I have now, and not only your offensive line, but your offensive line depth, because I believe that Nate Davis is still the best guy, even though he's not out there, and even though he probably won't be out there during the season as much. We know how that goes. So you had Matt Pryor, who's your third right guard out there, and it looked competent. It looked efficient. The offense ran well. That's a good starting point to be at. Now let's see that versus this Bengals team for this joint practice. And you know what? I need all my weapons here. I love the fact that Matt Eberflus sat there and was like, I need everybody. If you can get back, take the time you need. We want to see you get healthy. We don't want you to push anything. But if you can get back, this is the week I need you to get back. If you can get back, this is when I need to see you back in a Bears jersey. A ton of ramp up this week. I feel like there was an incredible value placed on this joint practice versus the Bengals. I hope the Bears are able to get a ton out of it, because I'm not going to lie to you. It's looking like it does not look good. It is looking like this practice is going to get rained out for the open practice. Let me double check the weather. Now, maybe the weather has changed. It said 95% for rain. Okay, we're down to 85%. We're down to 85% rain at 1 o'clock. So it might not have, and I would hope that it does happen outside, because at the end, you can barely fit the 90 guys you currently have on your team in the Walter Payton Center. How in the heck are you going to fit 180 guys in the Walter Payton Center? Somebody let me know. Like, I don't know if you guys have ever been in the Walter Payton Center, but it is a field. They don't even have field goal posts in there. They have a field, and they have literally drapes that have a field goal post painted on it. So I don't know how you're going to get everybody in there. I don't know how much value is going to be brought to that if the Bears do, because I don't know how much of the one-on-ones or ones on twos or whatever it is that you're going to get in that game. But there is still a value to having your starters back out there to run them out there against what looks like a solid Bengals team yet again. I'm excited to see that. That was the biggest update today from training camp. I think that the Bears still have a lot of work to put in, but I think that they're in a really, really good place. And so I'm not upset by where this Bears team is at all. Let me know your thoughts on anything that we talked about today in the comments below. I'm going to get up out of here because I got to get ready to head to this game. There's a jersey giveaway tonight, actually. So I'm going to get a little bit of memorabilia from this terrible season. At least I'm leaving here with something. That's what I'll say. I'm going to get up out of here. Appreciate y'all for tuning in and showing love. Hit that like button, subscribe to the page, leave a 5-star review. Y'all know what to do. As always, man, it's your boy Pat the Designer back at it again. Y'all stay safe out there, Chicago. Bear down. One love.